Ever stop to think how much those little impulse buys on your phone are adding up to, and how many subscription payments are sneaking out of your bank account every single month? Before I started using Rocket Money, let me tell you, I had no idea. But the first time I logged in, I saved $435. I couldn't believe it. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I just love the dashboard. It shows everything in one place, even the subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. And if there's something you don't need, Rocket Money helps you cancel it. Plus, it alerts you if a bill increases or if something unusual pops up in your account. It's basically like having a personal assistant for your money. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Kim today. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of February 11th, 2023. Here's hour one.
I always like to welcome you to our shows with something interesting. And let me tell you something. If you thought that an iPhone was expensive, well, you better start saving now, because next year's iPhone 15 is going to have three pricing models. That's right, not just two. The iPhone 15 Pro and the i15 Pro Max. And wait for it, there's going to be an even more expensive one, the iPhone 15 Pro Ultra. And remember when the world freaked out when there was no headphone jack on the iPhone 7 back in 2016, calling it the worst possible mistake that Apple has ever made? Well, get this, the iPhone 15 Ultra is not going to have any ports, nothing. No way to charge it by plugging it in. You're going to charge it wirelessly. Now, the price. Considering the most expensive iPhone you can buy right now is the iPhone Pro Max, that's $1,600. You can expect the iPhone 15 Pro Ultra to be around $2,000. Wow, for a phone. Hey, did you hear about the guy who's been stealing iPhones all over town? He's gonna have to FaceTime soon. Oh, yes. I just cracked myself up. Hey, listen, I'm America's beloved digital goddess, Kim Komando, here with you, and you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And if you're a brand new listener to our show and podcast, we are welcoming you, and we're so glad to have you with us. And if you're a regular listener, hey, welcome back. Now, you can find my award-winning national radio show on over 425 top stations from coast to coast. And we're streaming in your favorite radio app. And you can find us, of course, streaming as a webcast, as podcast, 24/7, 3 months of archives over at getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. And a special thank you goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in 175 countries and 200 ships at sea. Hey, listen, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you're just too shy to give me a call, you can always drop me your questions over on the website. Hit komando.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. All right. Every single day, I visit at least 30 different websites, and I talk to industry insiders to make sure that I'm up to date on all things digital. And this is part of the show where I like to talk about the big tech news. And let me tell you, everybody's talking about Chat GPT. We're going to talk more about that in a second. But let's go back to 2010. That's when Google tossed Yahoo out of the top spot for the world's most visited website. And it's held that spot, are you ready for it? 12 years. That's right. Until now, Microsoft Bing was just a joke. I mean, it was so bad at Bing that Microsoft was paying people in gift cards in order to use it. Well, here's some numbers for you. Google has 84% of the search engine market share. Bing has, ready to guess, 8%. And that's changing because Bing is rolling out Chat GPT fully in its search site. And some of the features launched this past week, like, for example, a quick answer from Chat GPT over on Bing will give you more things. So if you want to plan a dinner party for 6, for example, it's not just going to give you the recipes. It's going to make the shopping list for you, say how you should prepare it, how you should serve it. Here are some plates. If you want to, like, for example, a 5-day trip to Seattle, is that it's going to tell you, here are the things that you want to do. Would you like us to buy the tickets? Oh, by the way, here are some great hotel deals, and here are the flights that I think you're really going to love. So Google better be prepared, because here's the deal. Bing is coming at them full speed. I mean, try Microsoft Bing, right? You might like it. Wow, that's something I thought I'd never, ever say. Okay. Number 2, what is a BARD anyway? A B-A-R-D. What is a BARD? So Microsoft has invested about $10 billion in OpenAI, the creators of Chat GPT. And so Google's saying, oh, wow, we are like totally freaking out. I mean, they brought back the big guys from retirement in order to come down and say, how are we going to compete against Microsoft? So this past week, during a live in Paris event that they call it, Google demoed their newly announced BARD AI, its own version of Chat GPT. The result? Horrible, devastating. BARD tries to answer this question: what new discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope can I tell my 9-year-old about? The answer: took the very first pictures of a planet outside our solar system. Okay, that's not true. That big mistake led to a $100 billion plunge. Wow, in Google stock value, $100 billion. Jeez. So what's a bard anyway? Chat GPT says it's a poet or singer in medieval Europe, charismatic performers, sometimes possessing magical abilities. Well, if Google keeps this up, they're going to go from bard to verse. Number 3, it's all in the data. Do you do any shopping online? Do you ever wonder if maybe because you live in a ritzy zip code that you see more prices, or if you live in a poor area, you don't see the expensive goods on a website? 1 in 3 Americans know it's legal for an online store to charge different prices based on the user's location. And a lot of times they do that. Well, there's a way to fight that. Use a VPN. Here's another fun fact. Less than 1 in 3 people in the U.S. know that flight ticket sites don't have to display the lowest priced flight. Don't have to do that. So the easy way around that is you want to use Google Flights. Number 4 on our list is watch out for the fakers. So you spot your dream job online and it ticks all the boxes. A 30% pay hike, unlimited vacation, a massage every week, except at Google where they recently fired 200 corporate masseuses. That's right. Hey, I want you to be on the lookout because online recruitment scams are on the rise. Some red flags to look at. They ask for application fees. They want your social security number right off the bat. So just make sure that whatever job you're applying for online, that you are smart and you just don't fall for it because it might be a scam. And finally, this coming in at number 5, Apple's crash and fall detection is a life-saving feature. Just this past week, a motorcyclist fell down a 50-foot cliff. His Apple Watch sent an alert to local safety crews, and now he's expected to make a full recovery. Imagine if he hadn't been wearing it. But the problem is that fire departments and first responders everywhere are tired of 911 misdials. Like, for example, a lot of people are skiing this time of year, and if they fall, their Apple Watch says, oh my gosh, this must be a really bad fall. And so they call 911 and then give them the latitude or longitude where that skier is located. So here's the deal. What's going to be happening? Well, if I were to look at my crystal ball, my whole big crystal ball, and say, right now, Apple is depending upon local emergency services to take care of all this. Someday, they're going to get tired of this, and we're going to have to have a subscription to maybe using this feature, like an OnStar subscription. And with all these Apple Watch owners, let me tell you, they are all just really pressed for time. All right, that wasn't bad. It was okay. All right, coming up in our digital privacy tips, some tech that you shouldn't buy anymore because, well, it's being discontinued. And then later on, we have some tips on how to make your PC or Mac start faster. And we have all of your fantastic phone calls here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, I have to tell you guys and gals, I read the most fascinating story this past week. It's called What to Know About Cell Phone Radiation. I was like, we got to get this guy on the show. He needs to tell us about all his research. So joining us right now is Peter Elkind. He is an award-winning investigative reporter and the author of What to Know About Cell Phone Radiation at ProPublica. All right, let's just face it. You do everything on your smartphone. It's your all-around Swiss Army knife device. And you're addicted to it. But when you're using it, is your health actually at risk? Now, we do know that smartphones emit these low levels of non-ionizing radiation in pretty much the form of radio frequency radiation. That's RF. And the WHO says, well, it could, this is their quote, possibly be carcinogenic to humans. But they say that the levels of RF emitted are generally low, and the FCC in the U.S. and then some other organizations are saying, well, we don't need to really worry about this. And it's easy to jump to all these conspiracy theories, especially if you search for cell phone radiation on the web. Who knows what exactly you're going to be finding. So ProPublica recently examined the issue in detail, and they found that the chief government regulator, I'm talking about the Federal Communications Commission, this is a big government organization. Believe it or not, they are relying on exposure standards from, are you ready for it? 1996. Okay, I want everybody who's listening and watching right now, think about, where were you in 1996? What exactly were you doing? Okay, and then now think where we are today in 2023. Okay, the phone at that time was the Motorola StarTAC flip phone. It was cutting edge. I had one. It was pink. Oh, I loved that thing. So to talk about all this research is Peter Elkind. He's an award-winning investigative reporter for ProPublica, and he's the author of What to Know About Cell Phone Radiation. So, Peter, thanks for being here and making some time for us. And let's just start at the beginning so we're all on the same page.
Sure.
What exactly is cell phone radiation? I mean, how do you define that?
It's a very low-level form of radiation. It's not like the radiation you get when you get an X-ray, or when the techs will be shielding themselves with vests and leaving the room so you don't get exposed.
It makes you feel good, doesn't it, Peter? It's like they put on the vest, and meanwhile you're like, oh yeah, just take a picture. Everything's fine, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. But they don't want to be anywhere near you. That's right. It's not like that. It's a much lower form of radiation, and the effects are much less clear.
What shocked you the most about this research? I mean, for years I've told people, and I really think that, and I do get notes back, and people on social, they'll tweet out or whatever, say, Kim Commando, you don't know what you're talking about. But where I tell people, don't put your phone in your front pocket, right? I was climbing Camelback Mountain in Phoenix, and I saw a young woman with her smartphone in her sports bra. And I actually stopped her and I said, you don't know me and I don't know you. But if you notice, I don't have mine in my sports bra, and you shouldn't either, right? And I've told women that my niece, when she was pregnant and she was wearing a fanny pack with her smartphone on her waist, I'm like, probably a bad idea, right? So what exactly does the research say?
You've been giving very good advice, Kim. It's wise to take that precaution. There's no need to store it in that way, keep it close to your body. What struck me as I started to work on this, and I dove into it pretty deeply and had not before, is that, it's easy to dismiss, and it's readily dismissed and often dismissed by the wireless companies and a lot of people. And there are conspiracy theories around it, to be sure. There's also some very serious science that says it's a concern, a real concern. There's research at the Cleveland Clinic, obviously a respected institution, that says it can cause sperm damage, fertility damage for men. They're the head of the OB-GYN department at Yale, did animal studies and found evidence and believes that it causes hyperactivity in children who are exposed to radiation in the womb. The American Academy of Pediatrics wants the FCC to update its regulations because it doesn't think they're properly protective of children who have thinner skulls that are potentially more affected by wireless.
That's a good point. Yeah. Does it cause cancer?
Well, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, and that's unclear. That's subject to debate. The strongest evidence for concern was a very, very extensive multi-million-dollar, decade-plus long study conducted by the National Toxicology Program, U.S. program, which is how we test toxic substances. And they did a massive study of rats and mice, and they found after the study that there was clear evidence that wireless radiation had caused rare tumors in some of the animals, as well as DNA damage. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a very dramatic event, and but at the same time, it was also rejected as governing by both the FCC and the FDA who said it wasn't clearly applicable to humans. Well, that is the way we test toxic substances. And I mean, I think the clear takeaway is that, yeah, maybe there's a risk and it should be taken seriously.
So often we've had things that have happened in our society. I'm talking about, in the 50s, women were taking drugs to ease pregnancy symptoms. And then we find out, later on. A good friend of mine for quite a while was a big time, I don't want to give his name, a big time neurosurgeon. And he's hence retired. And this goes back probably 15 years ago. And I was a Boy Scout leader. Yeah, among my other talents, I was a Boy Scout leader. For some reason, I got armed into this. And I was on the phone, and I had the phone up to my head. And he took me off to the side. He said, never do that. Never. And I looked and I said, why? And he said, we are seeing so many more tumors on the right side of people's heads because that's where they're holding their phones. And ever since then, I won't put the phone up to my ear. I always have it on speaker. I mean, that's just the way it is. I guess before I get to the precautions, because I'm really interested about this, that the governing board didn't say anything. When are we going to have some definitive research? And if we're not using, lab rats, which we use on a regular basis, I mean, how do we get to a place where it's like, yes, it is safe or it's not safe?
Well, it's a really hard subject to study because you can't put humans in a contained environment. And you can't subject them to radiation the way you can animals in a contained environment. And if you're doing epidemiological studies where you're relying on their kind of experience, you're relying on uncertain evidence that they're providing. Plus, there's wireless radiation throughout the environment now. And it's hard to isolate environmental effects from the effects from a phone that you're holding close to your head. So that's tricky. But as you say, there is also medical evidence, scientific studies that say there is a correlation between tumors and where you hold your phone up to your head, which side of the head where you hold your phone. That's, again, hotly debated evidence, and the most hotly debated subject in the world in this area is whether this radiation causes cancer, because there's so much at stake for that.
Okay, now, Peter, we need to take a quick break. I don't often do this, but your research is so important, affects all of us. And after the break, we're going to get more into what we can do about cell phone radiation and how do we protect ourselves and our family. And this is really important information, folks, that you're going to want to pass along to your family members and friends. So just hang on. We're going to talk to Peter more again after the break. And then still to come, we have a list of all the tech that you shouldn't buy anymore because it's discontinued. And of course, we have more of your phone calls and you have more of me, Kim Komando. Alrighty then, if you're just tuning in, I've been talking to Peter Elkind, fascinating guy. He's an award-winning investigative reporter, and over on ProPublica, he wrote a piece called What to Know About Cell Phone Radiation. Now, we've been talking about his story, and I asked him to hang on through the break because, let me tell you, this is just such an important topic. Yeah, Peter, were you able to find any studies that came out of Europe? I'm thinking like Sweden, they always seem to be on the forefront of all this type of harmful radiation and studies. And were you able to find anything in that part of the world?
Yes, no, that's a very good question, and it's exactly on point. In fact, the strongest studies on linking phone use to cancer and brain cancer in particular came out of Sweden. And there's a scientist group there that have done a lot of work. And that was actually a significant part of the basis for the World Health Organization finding that you cited at the top of the show, saying that that wireless radiation is possibly carcinogenic. And as a result of all this, Europe has a very different approach to dealing with this problem than the U.S., where U.S. agencies have been very dismissive of it and might discuss safety measures you can take. They make a point first of saying, we don't think these are necessary. Almost literally, that's almost verbatim what the FCC and FDA say. Whereas in Europe, many countries and many regulatory agencies urge precautionary measures, which are very simple.
Wasn't there also a movement, I believe in San Francisco, where there was a push to put how much radiation was being put out by each phone? Was that in San Francisco?
Yes, no, that's exactly right. And there was a similar effort in Berkeley. It was a measure that was passed by the city council there. And in both cases, they met fierce resistance from the wireless industry. In the case of San Francisco, the wireless industry basically, and by the way, the measure was wanting to provide consumers with much more visible, detailed information about how much radiation each phone emits and whether some emit less than others, and presumably then are somewhat less risky. And the wireless industry responded by saying it was going to move its entire industry conference from San Francisco, and in fact did so as a consequence. San Francisco ultimately backed down. In Berkeley, there was actually a litigation that went on for years. And ultimately, it went to the Supreme Court at one point. The wireless industry was fighting fiercely, and the city of Berkeley eventually backed down. Again, it was merely seeking to alert people to precautions they could take to what could be done. It was sort of consumer awareness stuff. It wasn't saying, don't buy a cell phone.
Are there certain phones that you ran across in your research that emit more radiation than others? I mean, I know we're talking about a Motorola StarTAC back in 1996, and certainly we've gone, we've jumped through many hoops until then. But did you find, is it a Samsung? Is it an iPhone? Is it a Huawei or OnePlus? Or is there anything that is definitive?
We are way past the Motorola flip phone, no question about it. iPhones have been invented since that standard was first established and remains in place. There are phones that emit more and less radiation. I can't say off the top of my head which ones they are. I will tell you also that the FCC view and the industry view is that all of these phones are well below the standards that the FCC has. And so they're all safe, even if some have more radiation than others.
Oh.
A significant part of the FCC standard is that it only takes into account what are called thermal effects, heating effects, from heating the way a microwave oven can heat you and burn you. It doesn't at all take into consideration biologic effects. And that's where the research that's taken place, which raises concern about this, where it focuses, that there's been all sorts of biological effects that have been found but not studied enough.
All right, let's talk about precautions. You go first.
Well, you started, which is you shouldn't keep a phone in your running bra if you're a woman. You shouldn't keep it close to your body. Distance is your friend with any kind of radiation, and even keeping it a few inches, a few feet away from your head, away from your body is a very good thing and makes all the difference in the world. The precautions that the Europeans advocate, many countries are very much along those lines. So, for example, when you're talking on the phone, it's much better to use a wired headset than to have it pressed against your ear. It's much better to keep it in a bag, perhaps away from you, as opposed to right next to your body in your pocket. And then another consideration is if there's a weak signal, as when you're in a car, for example, and you have very few bars, which we all see on our phones, it's a bad time to be using the phone anywhere close to you because your phone will emit more radiation then in trying to connect with the wireless tower.
One final thought. Based on all this that you wrote about, which is fascinating. Everybody, you need to read this report over at ProPublica. How long do you think it'll be, Peter, until we get something like the Swedish government has put together here in the United States, or ever? Because think of how much money the wireless carriers and how much control they have, right?
Well, it's Swedish researchers. Actually, the Swedish government hasn't embraced the research that's been done there even.
Oh, they haven't? Oh.
No, it's private. It's medical researchers and scientists there who have been working on this for years. And there's many studies in many other countries that are looking into all sorts of possible effects of wireless radiation. There's been a lot less of it done in the U.S. We haven't funded very much research. The big project we did, as I mentioned, was this rat and mice study by the National Toxicology Program. It was a huge project, and the wireless industry pretty much dismissed the results. So there's a lot more work for us to do to really determine with much greater certainty what the risk is, how great the risk is. But the folks that know a lot about this, the people that, for example, a woman who ran the National Toxicology Program during this period says, we know enough now to take precautions and to advocate precautions. And that's what she believes that the government should be doing, should be urging people in abundance of caution, because there is indications that there could well be risk, to take simple measures to protect themselves. That we know enough. It's not black and white. It won't be black and white maybe for many years, but we do know enough to take reasonable steps to protect ourselves.
You know, Peter, I'm so glad that you spent time with us. This is great stuff that everybody needs to know and everybody needs to share with their family members and friends. And I really appreciate what you wrote. I mean, it's over at ProPublica, folks. It's called What to Know About Cell Phone Radiation. Once again, Peter, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's time now for a great tip about your security and privacy. And this week, it's brought to us by Total AV. When you start looking at tech, we are starting to see more words thrown around like EOL. What is EOL? Okay, end of life. That means that it's just you can't use it anymore. It's done. It's not going to have any more security updates. I mean, it may still work, but you shouldn't be using it. Then there's also another one called EOSL. That's the end of service life. And support, maybe it comes in several forms, but maybe you're not going to get any more software updates, any patches, no more spare parts, that's for sure. So as a general rule, connected devices or apps that haven't had an update for at least 9 months, 12 months, you just should not be using them because the hackers and the scammers know all the holes to get into it. So let's look at some products that you shouldn't be using, and if you see them on sale, you shouldn't be buying. Number one, a first-generation Amazon Echo. I know it may still work. I have one in my garage, unplugged. This one was put out about 10 years ago. And by the way, you can get the latest 5th-generation Echo Dot, super cheap, $40, maybe even less on sale. Number two is the Google Nest Hello. That was Google's first video doorbell. It's vulnerable to a hack that disables its recording capabilities. Next on our list are some old routers, and these are the ones that use an older security standard like WPA2. Don't want to use that. How about some old iPhones? Well, you know, it's a long list, let me tell you. It's basically don't get any iPhone that predates the iPhone 8. Next on our list are old Android phones. We're talking about some older Samsung Galaxies, the Fold, the Z, the flip phones. Next on our list, we have the Facebook Meta Portal. That's coming in at number 6. Number 7, the Oculus Quest, these old ones. The Google Stadia, which is the gaming platform. 3G phones are officially dead. And this is a big one, Windows 10. And here's them going, what? Did she say Windows 10? Yeah. As of the end of January, you could no longer purchase Windows 10 from Microsoft. Now, here's the deal. Windows 10 will remain supported with security updates, they say, until October 14th, 2025. But the bottom line here is that if you're looking at a new Windows-based PC, just make sure that it comes with Windows 11. Hey, speaking of your computer still to come, we have some insider secrets to make that PC or Mac start up a heck of a lot faster here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, before we go back to all your phone calls, let's talk about your iPhone and turning it into a pro camera. I mean, if you use the wrong camera settings, well, things don't always look all that great. But high-quality video requires a lot of data, and it's difficult to send over text messages, emails, or even upload wirelessly. So Apple does something that you may not be aware of. It automatically makes your videos a lower quality format. What did you say? That's right. With the iPhone 13 or higher, what you need to do is go into your iOS settings, and then under the settings, tap Camera and Formats. Or you can just search for something that's called Apple ProRes. Again, that's Apple ProRes. ProRes is one word, by the way, and I want you to turn that on. Now, once you want to shoot a video, you have to manually turn on ProRes all the time. I mean, it's just kind of a nutso thing. So again, if you're shooting a really important video and you want it the highest quality format on your iPhone 13 or higher, just make sure that you turn on Apple ProRes. All right, back to the phones we go with Dennis in Burlington, Iowa. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, Kim, how are you? It's a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Glad to have you on board. You betcha. What's going on?
Well, I was talking with my niece about the fact that you had mentioned you need a VPN, and she asked the question, she goes, well, if you have a VPN, if you send emails, are they secure, encrypted? And I said, I don't know, but I know who to ask, which is you. So,
and here you are.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you called.
Yeah, I never expected to be on your show. Thank you so much. I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh, you're sweet, Dennis.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal, is that a VPN, so that everybody knows what a VPN does. I know that you do,
Yep.
and there's probably someone going like, what was that those two guys you're talking about? Okay.
Yep.
VPN can encrypt, what it does, encrypts your internet traffic. And so that as you are going out on the internet and doing stuff, is that somebody can't poke in and maybe get your banking password and stuff like that.
Right.
But the answer is no, it does not encrypt your emails. The encryption of the email depends on the email service that you're using, and then how you are actually how you actually have it all configured. So, email services like Gmail and Outlook, they have encryption built in. But keep in mind that sometimes the content of the email is going to be stored sometimes unencrypted on maybe a file server or something like that if you're using it, say, in a business environment. But if you want truly end-to-end encryption, then you want to use an encrypted email service, and that's going to cost you anywhere between $10 and $15 a month. And Proton Mail I've used with success. It's really simple to use. And then there's another one called Tut and Oda. Don't know where that came from. Don't know what it means. But as I mentioned, there's Proton Mail, and they use encryption in both transit and when it's actually sitting on a server. So now you can go back to your niece and tell her, you know, honey, you're so smart, Uncle. Did tremendous amounts of research. And here's what I found. And then she'll say, oh, Uncle Dennis, you are so smart. And you're like, yeah, I know. So I can just be like your secret little weapon in the background. What do you think?
Actually, I will tell her that I asked you about it and you gave me the answer.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just giving you the option there, Dennis, to be like, you could be like the hero of the day. So thanks for your call, and thanks for listening. Thanks for all your kind words. It's always great to hear from a longtime listener. So how do you know if an email is encrypted? Well, a couple of ways. You can always check the email headers. Now, this is a little bit techy, but you open your email headers, and if it shows content transfer encoding 7-bit, that means it's unencrypted. If it shows content transfer encoding base 64, that means that the email is encrypted. And you can also use an encryption tool. Like, what are some? Well, PGP, right? Pretty good privacy comes to mind. Also, SMIME, that's secure multi-purpose internet mail extensions. Ooh, just use PGP because it's really simple to do. Hey, by the way, if you're not already following us on social media, what are you waiting for, right? Head over to twitter.com/KimCommando, facebook.com/KimCommando, instagram.com/KimCommando. Now, here's an insider secret. I'm going to talk more about this later on the show today, but if you go to twitter.com/KimCommando, I have my profile locked, okay? And I also have my account locked on Instagram. So if you want to follow me, you actually have to come out and make a request, and then I review every single one myself. As a matter of fact, this past week, there was a scammer trying to get through. And I looked at it, it says, Angelina Jolie wants to follow you. I'm like, Angelina Jolie wants to follow me, Kim Commando, on Twitter. Well, I looked at it. It was Angelina Jolie. Well, it was her picture. And they only had two people that they followed and 2 tweets out, which was like a total bogus account. But fortunately, they didn't have the blue check mark on Twitter, right? Because that would have maybe scammed a whole bunch of people. Hey, before we talk about starting your PC or Mac faster, just an insider scoop here is that we are working really hard to redevelop our newsletters. And so if you haven't already, make sure that you sign up for our tips newsletter. This comes out every single day. Head over to commando.com/getfreetips. Once again, that's commando.com/getfreetips. Alrighty, here's the deal. Your computer shouldn't take more than just a few minutes to start. If you're sitting there waiting, well, here's the fix to stop programs from using precious system memory and resources. And let's start with Windows. Well, Windows has a really nifty setting called Fast Startup. Now, think of it as a scaled-down hibernation mode. You'll find the setting under Power Options. Next, get rid of anything you don't need to run when you actually start your PC. I'm talking about all those apps and programs that just slow your system down when it's starting up. So what you need to do here is you open the startup folder under Settings, and then you turn off anything that you don't want to open at the startup. Makes sense, right? Well, now for our Mac friends. Well, basically the same steps. You definitely want to stop programs and apps from starting up when your Mac does too. Now, the easiest way to do this on your Mac is take a look at the dock. It's on the bottom right. It's on the bottom of your screen, rather. And then I want you to click on Programs. Now, under Options, it's really simple. Just remove the check mark next to Open at Login, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you need these steps to help you out, just head over to commando.com. That's the official website, by the way. And just search for Make My PC or Mac Start Up Faster. Hey, listen, tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and the Kim Komando Today podcast, because everyone needs more tech smarts, and knowledge is power. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise: home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
Hey, we appreciate you listening. It's the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of February 11th, 2023. Here's hour 2.
Hey, I always like to start with something interesting, and it's an experiment that I tried, and it actually worked. So let me ask you a question first. How can you get more views on your tweets? Well, you can look at stats, and you can see when most of your followers are responding. Certainly you can buy ads. You can respond when someone tweets at you. Nah, here's the trick. Are you ready? You lock your Twitter account. That's right. You make it private. This way, only your followers see your tweets. It sounds kind of productive, right? I mean, wouldn't you think you'd get more views on your tweets if the entire Twitterverse was able to see everything that you're posting? Not so, bucko. I mean, I locked down my Twitter account and I got 4 times the number of views. You should try it. And let me know if it works for you too. And if you don't already follow me at twitter.com/Kim Komando. Once again, that's twitter.com/Kim Komando, because after all, I'm America's beloved digital goddess, and you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing, and you can find us on over 425 top stations across the United States, and we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can find us as a podcast, a webcast 24/7 with 3 months worth of archives over at getkim.com. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you have any questions, of course, we always love to get your phone calls. But if you're just too shy, you can always drop me your question over on our website. That's commando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. All right, every single day I check out at least 30 different websites. And this is part of the show where I like to talk about consumer tech, things that you may be seeing, using, maybe even just read about, and what it really means. And we're going to start with something that I personally never thought that we needed. I mean, think back to when the baby needed a diaper change. How did you know? Well, there was always the smell test, right? Or maybe you just put your finger in there, see if you felt a little something, or maybe you just pulled the diaper out and you took a peek. Well, scientists and researchers at Penn State have taken the guessing element out of all of this. They've created, are you ready for it? Yes, it's here, a smart diaper. It has built-in sensors that alert you on your phone when the diaper gets wet, and there are stages of wetness to this alert. Stage 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is like, wow, this diaper needs to be changed right now. There are humidity sensors in the diaper, and they're cheap and they're easy to produce. And then there's sodium chloride treated diapers, and it goes through all this. Bottom line, you're getting a notification. But it just reminds me, I used to do the show at 6 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And so what would happen is I'd come home probably around 11 or 12. So one day, I think Ian was about to. He was running towards the garage door, was coming in. And the poor kid's diaper, honest to goodness, poor kid's diaper was down to his knees. And I look at Barry and I said, you didn't change the kid's diaper? I mean, in the last 5 hours? I mean, what's going on with this? And with a straight face, honest to goodness, he looked at me and he said, What do you mean? I mean, I looked at the packaging and it says 18 pounds. Doesn't it hold 18 pounds? I'm like, no, that's how much the kid weighs. Okay, help me right along. All right, number 2, forget Street View. What about drone view? Let me tell you, Google has this new thing called immersive view. And it's one of these things that you really need to see. It's hard for me to explain on a national radio show and podcast. Basically, I want you to think of AI, computer vision, and augmented reality built in. And you can go up and down, for example, an Eiffel Tower or maybe the Empire State Building. And you can go inside places now virtually. It's really something else. Now, it's only available in 5 cities so far: London, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and Tokyo. But you can check out some of the biggest landmarks. I mean, you can even get a feel for a New York subway. That's right, station. Rats and all, but just not the pizza with the rat. Gosh, remember when that went viral a couple of years ago? Crazy stuff. All right, next on our list, listen up. If you are older, you have someone else is older in your family. I don't want you to ever answer this question over the phone. What is your Medicare insurance card? Even if it comes from 1-800-MEDICARE. And that's a legit number, of course, because what's happening is that these are roboskull scams, and they're being sent to over 36 million people. Now, of course, what's nutso is that you may actually get a call from 1-800-MEDICARE because it's legit, but you can't make sure that's legit because now we have spoofers and scammers out there. So the bottom line here is that if you get a call and they ask you for your Medicare number, do not give it out. Just do not give it out. And make sure that you tell any of the older folks in your family this information too. Oh, and here's a joke for them in case you want to make their day. Ask them, what kind of insurance would Moses have if he was still alive today? What kind of insurance would Moses have if he was still alive today? Are you ready? Medicare Part C. Get it? Okay. All right. 4th on our list, Microsoft is living on the edge. That's right. All right. We have Chat GPT. We have Bing. Well, nobody really likes Microsoft's browser Edge. Now, if you're using Windows, they really do a number, and it's really hard for you not to use it. Well, Microsoft did a deal with Adobe this past week that are hoping that people want to truly live on the edge. I'm not really sure about this. You can put digital signatures on PDFs right inside Edge. Well, I don't know if we really need that. I mean, most of us are using like DocuSign, HelloSign. By the way, guess what percentage of people use Edge as their browser? You care to guess? Nope, higher. Google Chrome has a 65% browser share market, and Edge only, that's right, 4.5. Ooh, what's going on with that? And you know what you call it when you remove Microsoft Edge browser from your computer? Do you know what you call that? This is one you're going to love. Cutting edge technology. Get it? Oh, okay. Finally, this, wrapping up, last at number 5. Microsoft is a wimp. Now, do you know Microsoft Windows' first name? It wasn't Windows. It was called Interface Manager. I have a computer with Interface Manager. Okay. They needed to change that. So, but how did they come up with the Windows operating system? All right. Here's the backstory. The computers of yesterday, of course, they weren't anything like we have today. Nada. Do you remember? Maybe you saw it. I certainly do. It was just a screen with a prompt, and then you had to type things in just by text. There was no GUI or graphical user interface. You didn't have any pictures and bells and whistles, nothing like that. So the standard organization for graphical user interface was WIMP. No, not because all these computers in the first times were used by people like me, super nerds. WIMP stands for, are you ready? W is for Windows, I is for icons, M is for menu, and P is for a pointer, like in mouse pointers. So imagine if Windows was actually called the WIMP operating system. Oh, wait. It is a WIMP operating system. All right, coming up, ways to get unbiased, independent news on the internet. And then we've got our trivia question of the week you don't want to miss. Oh, we've got a great money tip. It's how to make money using Chat GPT. And we have all of your phone calls, and you have me, Kim Commando. Hey, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. Coming up in just a few minutes, how you can get unbiased news on the internet. And right now, how about we start with Dee Dee in Portland, Oregon?
Hi, Kim. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you for sharing all of your wisdom with all of us out there. It's been so helpful over the years, so thank you.
Oh, thank you for listening. I mean, otherwise I'd be talking to myself in front of the mirror, and that would not be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm hoping you can give me a little help today, and I actually, I'm hoping to help you a little bit. I don't know. I heard your call a couple of weeks ago. A gentleman called in where he had a teen who had a social media addiction and wanted some help from you about trying to discover the phones and that kind of thing. And
that was, you know what? That was a gut-wrenching call for me.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, I was really keyed into it.
Yeah, because as a parent and having gone through those teenage years, my son's in college now, but to go through, he went through 13 phones with this kid. And
whoa, yeah,
okay, and you know. And this girl, she just kept finding another way to get online, another way, and then it's like, wow, that's tough. So what's going on with you?
So she's had 6 phones we've discovered. We think she's on number 7, and we're tired of trying to press our ear to the wall and hope that she forgets to turn her volume off. That's been a way real non-tech way of trying to figure it out. But we've been just using the network, trying to see if there's a new device that's using the Wi-Fi. And if we see something that shows up when she goes in a room, that's our red flag that maybe something's going on. And she's such a crafty person that we have to absolutely know that it is in order to get it from her, because otherwise she'll just say, no, I don't have a phone. And it's an addiction.
Well, what is she doing online? What is she doing online that concerns you?
We don't exactly know. We don't have any programs on her phone. That's been kind of a source of tension in the household about how much do we monitor, because if you know it, then you've got to do something about it. And it's one thing after another with this teen. She's our last of 3, and man, she's given us a run for our money. So we just are at a loss about how to have a clean way of figuring out if she's got another phone and she stays up all night with it, and then we have issues with not getting up on time and not doing work around the house. It snowballs into ugly behavior around the house if she's on this phone all night.
Yeah, of course, because she's not getting any rest. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Right.
How old is she?
She just turned 18.
Okay. Is she in high school, college?
Yep. She's graduating this spring.
Okay. And then is she going to go to college?
Hoping.
Okay. How close is she with her siblings?
Neither one of them live nearby, so she doesn't talk to them real frequently.
Is there one of your other kids who could? Here's what I'm going with. Here's where I'm going. Okay. That's the reason why I'm asking. And maybe it's not the siblings. Maybe it's somebody else. Okay. You've been banging your head against the wall for probably at least. She's 18, probably since she was, 11? Something like that? Maybe 10, 11, 12? Somewhere
we
in that
let her
range?
have a phone when she was 13.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
13 was when she got a phone.
Okay, so for the last 5 years. And obviously that there's something going on with her that she, I mean, every kid has a phone now. I mean, that's just a bottom line. I'm not saying that it's a privilege or it's, it is a privilege. I mean, it's not a rite of passage, but every teenager has a phone. I think at last stat I saw was like 98.9% of all teens in the United States have a phone. So she's going to have a phone. So what we want to do is make sure that she's using it the right and the safe way. And that means that we need to set some rules. The fact that she's using it overnight, and I fortunately I did not have a tough kid. I didn't. I had, if I said this is the way it is, this is the way it is. And he responded. And if I said, give me that phone at 8:00 at night, he gave me that phone. And he was pissed off about it. He threw a temper tantrum, but it was, and so I explained to him, this is my house. These are my rules. That's my phone. You gotta, if you can have the tough talk, it sounds like it's really hard, but that's the only thing that's going to fix this.
It is.
Okay. Now, if you can't have that tough talk, I would go to somebody else who's in the family and say, listen, I need your help. Your sister's not is going to a bad place. And she's going to be on her own in 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anything bad to happen to her. But I can't get through to her. I cannot get through to her. Can you try? Right. Can you try?
Okay. And I see what you're saying. So enlist one of those siblings to try to have that talk with her.
Because, she's not going to listen to you right now because you're mom. She's not going to listen to you. And she's not going to listen to your husband. Okay? She's not going to do it because you don't know anything. Okay, think about that. When you were 18, you didn't know anything. Your parents didn't know anything. Okay, all of a sudden you hit like 25 and you're like, whoa, they are like really smart people. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, so that's where you're at right now in life. And unfortunately, it's going to take a couple of years before she figures out that, you're actually pretty decent and you're fun and she loves you. Okay, so
I hope so.
So let's try to find somebody else.
Yeah, I hope that will work. We've certainly had tough talks with her. I mean, after I think phone number 2, we had a very tough talk, but we just have to have strict limits on the one phone we do give her. And when she turns that in at night, that's when she somehow gets them from friends.
Exactly. You know what? Because she's smart. She's smart. Okay. And she can get herself another phone with another cell phone plan. And she can borrow, one of her girlfriends or guys will say, you know what, hey, I can get 2 for 1 out of my parents or whatever it may be. She's going to find that. So that's why I think you need to have somebody else. Now, here, I'm going to go one step further with Dee Dee. If you can't find anybody in your family to talk to her, I will. I will personally talk to her. We'll set up a Zoom call between you and your daughter or just me and your daughter. You don't need to, and she's not going to want you to have part of it, but I'll talk to her. I will mentor her through this next stage in her life. I will do that for your daughter. So just keep that in mind. I don't want you to feel like you're left out there in the cold. Dee Dee, thank you for your call. All right. There are ways to get unbiased, independent news, right? But you have to go looking for them. Like, for example, maybe start out at the Associated Press or Reuters. Then check out the Wall Street Journal. I really like the way that their writers seem to tell both sides of the story, and then they let you formulate your very own opinion. All right, coming up, we have our trivia question. Oh, and it's a tough one. I'm going to tell you that. And ways to make money with Chat GPT. And, of course, we have more of your phone calls, and you have more of me, Kim Komando. Okay, it's time now for a special segment here on the Kim Komando Show that I like to call Commanding the Tech World Trivia, because we've all seen how the world has changed, all because of tech. But maybe you don't know the backstory, some insider secrets that makes this digitally connected world just go round and round. So when playing Commanding the Tech World Trivia, you have to think beyond just the surface. You have to think about it. And we always have a special guest contestant joining us every single week to win the most valuable prize. It's the much coveted Kim Komando Show fanny pack. And let me tell you, I get requests every single day. How do I buy one? And I would say, you know what? You can't get it unless you win on the Kim Komando Show. And joining us this week is Carol from Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello there, Carol.
Hi, Kim. How are you today?
Great. What do you do there in Indy?
Oh, I am a speech therapist.
Are you? That's awesome. That's great. What is the one word that people have the biggest trouble pronouncing?
Probably. That's a tricky question. I am not sure about that.
Well, I can tell you the word that I have trouble pronouncing, and maybe you can help me say it better. Okay, and the word is DRAWER. DRAWER. Okay. So you pronounce it the right way.
Oh, it may be a drawer.
Okay, a drawer.
Open the drawer.
Okay. See, I'm from New Jersey, so I say drawer. Drawer.
Ooh.
Open the drawer. And Barry will look at my husband. He's like, "What is a drawer?" I'm like, "The drawer. It's right there. Come on, it's the drawer." How do you say it again? The drawer. The drawer. The drawer. Okay, I'll have to work on that. Okay, got to put your thinking cap on because this is a pretty difficult trivia question. Are you ready to play, Carol?
I am ready.
Okay. So Twitter was founded in what year? No, that's not the question. March of 2006. Jack Dorsey, Biz Stone, and Evan Williams. And of course, the whole idea was that people would have these short updates. Tweets at that time, 140 characters or less. And you'd share all your little tweets with friends and followers. Right now, Twitter has, 350 million monthly active users, and it's one of the largest and most influential and all those big words, and Elon Musk bought it and blah, 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 blah. Okay, but our question today is, what's the name of Twitter's mascot? You know, that little bird? What's the name of the Twitter mascot? Okay. Is it A, Larry? Is it B, Robin? Is it C, Polly? Or is it D, Sergey? Okay, so what's the name of Twitter's mascot? Maybe you didn't even know it had a name, but it has a name. Is it Larry, Robin, Polly, or Sergey? So which one is the name of the Twitter bird?
I will go with D, Sergey.
Sergey. Any reason why you selected Sergey?
No, just an interesting name.
Okay, Sergey. Okay. The answer is, are you ready for it? A, Larry. That's right, Larry.
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
Why name Larry? It's Larry Bird, one of the co-founders, Bizstone. He's originally from Boston, and one of his idols is Larry Bird, the famous Boston Celtic, right?
How about
so
that?
now you know. See, so now you can use this question with your family members and friends and win big money. So, say bet like $5. You won't be able to get this answer. Okay, you won't be able
to
to
get it right.
Yes. And just think about this. Imagine one day if you had YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Remember, imagine if they got together and they created just one company, Carol. You know what they could call it?
What?
You Twit Face. All right. I know you have a question for me. So how can I lend a hand?
Oh, I would love that if you could lend me a hand. I have a son with Down syndrome. He's a great young man. He's almost 30 years old. His prized possessions are his iPads. He spends hours listening to music and looking at video clips of family and memories. Back when he was just little, he had lots and lots of cassette tapes, and I was able to move those over into iTunes using Audacity. And then over the years, through his childhood, I've just added to it so that he has over 800 songs on his original iPad, which is a fourth-generation iPad. Wow. So I've been able to add all of those onto an iPad mini that's also a second generation. So it's older too. He's accessing them every day. He's got a wonderful eclectic set of music that he just loves. But these devices are getting older, and they're just going to die one of these days, and that just scares me because they're so important to him. What can I do to back them up?
Ooh, you're right. The tech is getting old. The fourth generation iPad was released on November 2nd, 2012. So it's hard to believe that was back in 2012, right? And here we are in 2023.
Right.
But it's still working, which is great.
It works great, yes.
Now, you can back it up. Well, probably the easiest way would be to put it in iCloud. So you can back up the iPad to iCloud. You go into settings, whatever your name is, iCloud backup. And this will back up all of your son's photos, videos, and important data into the cloud. You could also use a third-party backup software program if you want to just get it onto a device like a computer, or then maybe put it on an external hard drive, or back it up to a cloud like using iDrive. And there's a program called iMazing, and that's the letter I and then Mazing. And then you can back up the iPad's content right to a computer, and then you can transfer the content to a new iPad as well. So eventually you're going to want a new iPad. So maybe what you want, so either way, you're going to use iCloud, or you can use the third-party backup. So you can try to use iTunes, but I think that's a bit of a hassle right now. Trying to get the fourth generation backing with iTunes, and I just don't see that as a good. I wouldn't do that myself, okay, Carol? No. So I don't want you to do it.
No, it said it was no longer supported.
Yes, and so you're going to have to find something older, and then just use iCloud or use that program called iMazing. And we'll send you some more information about this right to your email. But one thing I just want to point out to you is that, have you ever looked at the Amazon Fire for Kids?
No.
It's $100, And I know my sister is a educational psychologist and therapist. As a matter of fact, she has her own school, and she does tremendous testing and all this other great stuff. And she works with a lot of some Downs kids and also ADHD and stuff. But what I've turned her on to for the parents is this Amazon Fire for Kids. The reason why is that it has great parental controls. So you could set limits on screen time if you wanted, and also set limits on what he can and cannot touch and where he could go. The tablet comes with a 1-year subscription of over like 20,000 videos and educational apps and games, and you can get Apple Music with it. But the thing is, too, is that it has a built-in stand, but best of all, it has a 2-year guarantee.
Right.
So if it breaks, if he drops it, if whatever he does with it, within those 2 years, you get a brand new one.
Wow. So
I know you've got everything on the iPad, and that's really terrific. But if you were looking at maybe another option, maybe just to expose him to something different that he might like, just an idea for you is to look at the Amazon Fire for Kids. And like I said, it comes with that 2-year guarantee, and then you can look at music and good stuff like that. So are you square? Does it help you out? Are you all good?
I think.
And if you ever need any additional help for either you or your son, just give me a call back. We're always here for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help today.
You got it. Thank you, Carol. You know, there are also apps that might help your son, like Proloquo Go. There's My Talk Tools Mobile. There's speech therapy words, sounding board, touch and learn. I'll tell you this, Carol, I'm just going to send you over a list of apps that you might want to try with your son. All right, Chat GPT is all over, and a lot of people are using the AI to actually make some money. So I thought it might be fun for us to kind of talk about some ways that you can use Chat GPT to maybe increase your income. Like, number one, you can use it to write YouTube scripts or any type of scripts. YouTuber Franklin Hatchett says that you can make $19,000 a month by making videos with scripts you get from Chat GPT. I think that's a lot harder than what it sounds, but if you are thinking about writing scripts, you might want to try ChatGPT. You can also find keywords and get SEO help. You can have it suggest titles or ideas or write an intro for a story. You can also get product descriptions. Realtors are raving about the time that they're saving using ChatGPT to write this. So if you need to write product descriptions, you might want to tap into that. Website copy, some stories. But again, you always want to make sure that you fact check everything, because the thing about ChatGPT is that its data and its knowledge base only goes to 2021. So after 2021, it doesn't really know about anything else. So just keep that in mind. And email messages, maybe some email marketing campaigns. And so in case you're looking for more information about this and some tips about how you have to get really specific with ChatGPT to get the results that you want, head over to commando.com. And when you're there, at the top of the page, hit the link that says Kim Show. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls, as well as, hey, I don't know if you know this, but you get some free perks with your cable bill. And I'm going to tell you more about that. Hey, just a quick reminder that if you're not already getting our podcast, our Daily Tech Update, make sure that you sign up now, because knowledge is power, and you're going to love this. Every single day you get a couple of news stories and one great tip. That's the Daily Tech Update. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for my last name, Commando with a K, of course. All right, Jake in Madison, Wisconsin. Hi there, Jake.
Hi, Kim. Thank you very much for taking my call. I really enjoy your show.
Well, thank you, Jake. What's going on?
Well, I do a lot of online banking and bill paying, and I had heard once that it's a wise thing to have a dedicated computer to do that with. And I guess I was wondering if you do agree with that, and if so, if you would have any recommendations about a computer to use. And it would be, I am just looking for something new, and it would be completely dedicated for only that.
Yeah, you know, it's something that we've done here at the show for many, many years, is that folks that work in, say, the finance departments, that they have two computers. And so one, they're allowed to get their email on and, of course, you know, buy stuff online for the company or go on their Facebook account or whatever they may want to do during the day. And then the other computer is dedicated just for online bill paying and transferring funds and stuff like that. Just so that this way, the whole idea, the whole concept behind it is that if you get a phishing email and they take over your system, they're not going to have access to where you're trading stocks and doing your banks and stuff like that. So it's super smart. So here's what we're going to do, Jake, and we're going to do this together is I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, and then we are going to arrive at the perfect laptop for you together. Okay?
Okay, awesome.
All right, so over on the website at komando.com/laptop quiz is that you can take this quiz by yourself, by the way, in case you're looking for the perfect laptop. So the first question that we ask you on komando.com/laptop quiz is, what's your budget? Is it under $350, up to $650, up to $1,000, or over $1,000?
I would say up to 1,000 would be a good starting point.
Okay, up to 1,000 we go. Now, do you have a preference in your operating system? Do you want Mac? Do you want Windows? Do you want Chrome OS?
Windows.
Now, what size do you prefer? Do you want your laptop to be light and thin, or do you really say, you know what, I really want a bigger screen?
I guess I don't necessarily have a preference for that. I won't be moving it around very much. It'll probably sit on a desk and won't leave there. So it can be larger.
All right, so then we'll say, we're going to say bigger screen then. Will you also be using the laptop for email streaming or getting work done?
No.
Do you want a touch screen? Yes or no?
Not necessary, I guess.
Do you want to use any external monitors with this laptop?
No.
We're almost done. We're almost at the end. Do you need a 10 key built in if you're going to be entering a whole bunch of numbers?
No.
We're building your personalized results. And dun da da da, the HP Pavilion is for you. It's a 2-in-1 laptop. It's really beautiful, and it sells. Let's see, you buy it on Amazon right now for $589. You can buy it on Walmart for $629. Or you can buy it at eBay for $650. And it's got a 15-inch screen. It weighs 4 pounds. It does have the 10 key. It supports monitors. It's got a beautiful processor, 8 gigs RAM, 512 gigs. And we're going to send you that direct link so you can take a look at it. But this is one of the great things that we have over on the website. It's a great tool, by the way, is that, anytime that you're looking for a piece of gear, we have put together these quizzes. And Jake, thank you so much for your call. You hang on the line. We're going to send you a direct link to this HP Pavilion. And you can just go through these various questions, and then lo and behold, you have not only our personal recommendation, but also you can see what it's selling for at that time at all these different websites, so you know exactly where the best deal is for you. So again, if you're ever looking for a laptop, head over to komando.com/laptop quiz. If you want to take the laptop quiz, go here right now. That's komando.com/laptop quiz. That's komando.com/laptop quiz. It really makes picking out the perfect laptop simple, easy, and quick. If you're still paying for cable TV, here are some perks that you may not be aware of. Like, for example, you have free movies. This cable perk includes new releases, just not like classics like Top Gun, and they really up the ante there. And before you rent a Redbox video or pay for Netflix, check your cable's on-demand menu. There's a good chance that what you want to watch is available there for free or as a cheap on-demand rental. Next, music. A lot of people don't realize this. You don't have to sit in front of your TV to stream music from your cable provider. You can kick your Spotify or Pandora subscription and use your cable company instead. And finally, here's an insider secret. You might be able to share your Wi-Fi as a hotspot in your neighborhood and then get a reduction on your cable bill. So check with your cable provider for specific plans, but it's definitely worth checking out. And tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and the Kim Komando Today podcast, because everybody needs more tech smarts.
It's the Super Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of February 11th, 2023. Here's our 3.
All right, I always like to kick the show off with something interesting. And this past week in Hellerton, Pennsylvania, a grocery store robot made a mad dash for the front door and escaped right into the parking lot. Now, the robot's name was Marty, and in the sleepy suburb outside Allentown, comes this viral video of this robot being chastised by a store worker, like, get back in there, get back in there. And people on the internet are so funny. If you look at some of the comments, people were speculating that Marty was, well, quiet quitting. He just decided he had enough. Others said that Marty wanted to unionize. And then there was this theory. Marty went on a crime spree in the neighborhood right before it ran out of battery. And now the cops are refusing to charge the perpetrator. Ooh, get that. Charge the perpetrator. Oh, okay. Ooh, tough crowd. All right. Welcome to the Kim Komando Show. You can find us on over 425 top stations across the United States. And we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can find us streaming as a podcast, as a webcast over at getkim.com. And you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And I'd also like to thank our listeners on our American Forces Network radio, our servicemen and women in the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force who are listening to the Kim Komando Show and protecting our great nation while I speak. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. All right, every single day, I just go to so many different websites. I read what I can, and I watch all these videos to make sure that I'm up to date on all things digital so I can make sure that you're up to date on all things digital. And this is part of the show where I like to talk about numbers. And if you have your old Sony Walkman laying around, well, you just might be privy to a new hip trend. That's right. The last year's sales of albums on cassette tape went up by 28%. What did she just say? Cassette sales are up? Wow, that's right. 440 million sold. Okay. Only 74,000 were sold in 2015. So why are so many people into cassette tapes? Well, it's a Marvel film. The soundtrack to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was the top-selling cassette of 2022. The cassette itself, they say, is a big driver for the character Star-Lord in the movie. I haven't seen it. Apparently, Star-Lord only loves two things, his friends and his super awesome mixtape. And it makes sense that it would be the top seller. It's a novelty. And I don't know if you remember, but cassettes had side A and B. So it was logical for its successor to be named CD. Yes, number 2, $39,000 a month for 30 minutes a day. Sign me up. If you have an old boat just sitting around on a dock, you might want to see if you can rent it through one of these apps. A guy by the name of J.P. Mancini in Florida, that's what he does. He has 2 boats on rental apps like Boat Setter. Guess how much he makes from these 2 boats a month? You ready? About $39,000 a month. And he says, just takes him 30 minutes of work a day. I mean, whoa, right? Now, one of his boats is worth about $400,000. And JP told the CNBC that he makes just under $200,000 after expenses from his boats. It's a good way to pay for your boats, right? But anyway, you can rent just about anything by an hour or a day. And think about this if you have something that you might want to rent or if you need something. You can rent out your tools, your RV, your house, your pool, your car, your bike, your Zen garden, whatever it is. We have a whole list of things that you can rent out over at Komando.com. Just search for the title of this article is How to Make Money from Your Car, Home, RV, and Other Stuff You Own. So just search for How to Make Money with Your Car, and I'm sure it'll pop up right at the top of the list. All right, number 3 in our... It's crazy. 82 million voice-to-text problems. What's going on with that? You know, it's always fun to dictate a text message, but Siri and Google, they don't always quite understand what you say. Like, for example, chalk. Doesn't always know what that is. They think it's something else. So the Wall Street Journal had this really great story about how people are getting incredibly frustrated by our smart assistants and their inability to understand what we're saying. So in the United States, they reported 82 million people use Google's Assistant and 77 million people use Siri for voice commands and for writing text messages and good like that. Now, of course, the numbers are on the rise. And there are problems when you are talking to texting, like homophones, like bear and bear, B-A-R-E versus B-E-A-R. Words with multiple meanings, like bank. Words that are pronounced differently than they're spelled, like GIF or GIF, depending upon how you pronounce it. Words with multiple pronunciations, like herb or herb. Do you say herb or herb? Or hammock or hammock? I have a friend of mine that says hammock. And we're going to change that. I'm like, it's like hammock. It's not hammock. And then she actually shows me the pronunciation online. I'm like, no, we say hammock. All right, so words to avoid, as I mentioned, caulk. Also, the shorthand P and S, because it sounds like a male organ. There's also alloy, which sounds like a-hole. So anyways, in case you're looking for something to read about all this, just pick up the Wall Street Journal, go over to the site. You can read it. It's a great story. All right, number 4 on our list, 4,000 characters. What's going on with that? Well, if you look at a tweet, 250 characters just may not be enough. I mean, if you want to know what strangers think about 50-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio's love life with teenagers, there just aren't enough words, right? So Elon Musk says, hey, maybe we need to have more words available on Twitter. So if you have a Twitter Blue subscription, you can now make super long tweets, 4,000 characters. You know, it's kind of the opposite of what Twitter's supposed to be, right? At the start, back in March of 2006, when Twitter was unveiled to the entire universe, you could only have 140 characters, and then went to 280, and now we're at 4,000. It's really sometimes hard to kind of cram all that stuff in, Elon Musk says. So now we're going to have like really long tweets, which is kind of like the opposite purpose of Twitter. Maybe that's just me. But anyway, here's one that you can tell the kids about Twitter, okay? Does anyone know if Snap, Crackle, and Pop have a Twitter account? Just ask the kids. Does anybody know if Snap, Crackle, and Pop have a Twitter account? And then you could say, hey, you know why? Because I could really go for a Rice Krispies tweet. Okay, maybe not. All right. Last, this coming in at number 5, $2 for the best seats in the house. So if you want the front row middle seat at a movie theater, if you go to AMC, it's going to cost you more money because AMC is tacking on fees for the best seats in the house. Going airline. I mean, maybe they're going to start serving peanuts there at the seats and start charging you, or maybe even blankets. Well, there's actually 3 levels of seating now. If you go into the theater, you can buy the really crappy seat, like the one where you stare up directly at the screen and then you get that horrible neck pain. You're going to get a discount for that. Regular seat, regular prices. The best seats in the house, it's going to cost you $2 more. Of course, this is all, they're trying to figure out how to get more money and get more people to go to the theaters. And so now they're saying, well, maybe if we charge more for the best seat in the house, then they know they're always going to get that seat and they can reserve it online. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm willing to pay $2 more for the best seat. I guess, I don't know. It's so expensive even just to go. And it's really expensive to rent a movie now on Apple. I don't know if you've noticed that. I bought a movie on Apple the other day. It was horrible. Don't rent it. Don't buy it. Babylon. Oh, one of the worst movies in the universe. I'm actually going to complain to Apple about this. $25 to buy it. But I thought, hey, I watch it. Ian can watch it. Barry can watch it. And I called Ian and I said, it's on the Apple TV. Do not watch Babylon. He's like, thanks, Mom. All right, coming up, we have a great tip on how to protect your privacy, a guide to avoiding drone surveillance. We have your phone calls, and you have me, Kim Commando. All right, let's start and go right to the phones with Steve in Wichita, Kansas.
Hi, Kim. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, sir. What can I lend a hand to? How can I help you?
Well, Kim, I am a grandfather of 7 grandkids, and I have tons and tons of photos, and I'm running Windows 11, and I can't seem to find how to find the duplicates in Windows 11. Now, years ago, I used to use Picasa that you recommended, and of course,
wasn't that? Yeah, that was a fabulous program, wasn't that?
Yes.
Oh, what a great photo editor! And then Google bought it, and then it just went into the intergalactic bit bucket. There it goes. But yeah, no, it's fabulous.
Exactly. So I guess I'm asking you, how can I find duplicates in Windows 11, and what do you recommend for a good app for photos?
Oh, boy. Well, here's the deal. Let's start with duplicates. We all have duplicates, unfortunately, because you and I both remember the days when we had a camera and we had film. And for the young people that are listening, film was something that you had to buy in order to take pictures. And then I can still remember my parents telling me, Steve, don't waste the film. Only take one picture, right? So
yes.
And then you had to go get it developed, whatever. You only had 24 or 36 pictures. And it was like, wow, that's a lot. I can take 36 pictures. Well, not anymore. We take 5 pictures of every single thing instead of 1 for some reason. So we all have duplicates. On Windows 11, what you're going to want is to use a third-party software program. There's one called Duplicate Cleaner, and we'll send you links to these, by the way. As well as you can try CC Cleaner too. It does other things as far as CC Cleaner. Will find other duplicate files, but I like Duplicate Cleaner, especially when it comes time for photos. Now, as far as to avoid taking the duplicates and getting all the duplicates, one of the things, and I'm guilty of this too, Steve, you and I are in the same boat, is that suddenly you look at your photos and you're like, how did I get 25,000 photos? Yes. So what I found is a good rule of thumb, and I've been really good at it so far this year, which means anything previous to 2023, I really am bad at. But starting 2023, what I actually look at the photos that I take and go, oh, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. Somebody texts me a picture, it ends up in my Photos app, and I'm like, I don't need a picture of that person who, is hitting a golf ball in my photo album, right, type of thing. So I go through all that. There are photo management software programs. If you are on Apple, you've got Photos, but you're not. So I'd recommend Adobe Photo Express or Adobe Lightroom, and that's really good as far as photo management, especially with these 7 grandkids. You can also use Google Photos, which is nice because it'll automatically identify faces and locations and then sort them into some type of pattern for you. So if you don't want to use a separate program, you can use Google Photos. It also has a compare feature that allows you to look at 2 pictures side by side to find the duplicates. And one of the things that I also vowed to do this year was to turn off burst mode, because burst mode is all of a sudden you got like 8 pictures in a second. You're like, don't need all of that. So try the Duplicate Cleaner, and I think that's probably going to work best for you, or CC Cleaner. And then, by the way, if you are on a Mac, for everybody who's listening, like, hey, I got the same problem on a Mac, just want to let you know that the new iOS, Apple's 16, is that, and also the new Photos app, they have this great little album right there on the screen. It says duplicates, and you're like, whoa, you found all my duplicates, photos, and videos for me. Thank you, Apple. And I went in there the other day, and shame on me, is that I had over 3,500 duplicates. And I wiped them all out with just a single click. I loved that. Once again, thanks for your call today, Steve. Hey, by the way, if you need links to those programs, we have them over at commando.com. All right, next up, Vince in Kansas City, Missouri. Hi there, Vince.
Hey, Kim, thanks for taking my call.
You betcha. What's going on?
Well, we've got a Microsoft 365 family account that subscribed is charging us $99 a year, and I had heard that there's some free options to that out there. Mm-hmm. And so I had a couple of questions pertaining to that. First one being, which one of those free options would you recommend, if any? And then secondly, if I did cancel the subscription to 365, would I lose all the Word documents and Excel spreadsheets and things we've saved?
Yeah, we don't want to do any of that, right? Okay.
Right.
There are some great options, so you don't have to pay that $100 a year. And of course, everybody moves to software as a service, and it was just a matter of time before Microsoft would do that as well. I'll tell you what we use, and it might be interesting to you, is that we actually use Google Workspace. It used to be called Google G Suite. But with a Google Workspace, you get online storage with Google Drive. You get 15 gigs for free, just by go ahead and getting a Google account. And then you can also use Google Docs, Google Sheets, slides. That's your PowerPoint. And it all works in conjunction with your Gmail and a Google Calendar. And I have found it to be far superior than Microsoft Office products. Okay. Now, and then if you're going to start using more storage, you're going to have to buy more space. But, that's a lot of space that you have right there. Now, if you don't need all of that stuff, I'm talking about like a whole Office suite, and you want it, and it's not necessary for you to keep everything online and have it all accessible with everybody, then there's a free office space. That's funny. That's the show, Office Space. There's a free office suite called LibreOffice that also works pretty well. Now, as far as you losing what you have right there, if you cancel your Microsoft subscription, you would still have access to the files that you have saved on your computer. That's the key right there, Vince. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if you're not paying, you're going to lose access to OneDrive, which is online, unless, of course, you have a backup of those files. So before you dump Microsoft for Google or LibreOffice, just make sure you have a backup of everything that you have out there. Make sense?
Yeah, sure does. Great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You betcha. See that? Another satisfied listener and caller at the Kim Komando Show. Aside from LibreOffice and Google Workspace, there's also WPS Office. It's a free office suite. You get word processing, your spreadsheets, your presentation software, and like the others, it's compatible with Microsoft Office file formats. But I will tell you, I really like using Google Workspace. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we have Ali Seligman. She's our amazing content queen. She's going to be joining us, and we have more tips and more phone calls here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about how you can avoid the drone surveillance society. I was in my pool recently, and I had a drone right above my head. I'm like, oh, please get away. Also, later on, really important tip about finding and removing keyloggers on all your devices. And joining us right now is Ali Seligman. She's our amazing content queen. Hello there, Ali.
Hi, Kim.
So we've had this uber successful initiative going over at Komando.com, and it's been called Opt Out Tuesday. And just to bring everybody up to date, I actually came up with this idea, and then, of course, Ali and the gang just ran with it, because Ian was driving around Los Angeles, and he's like, Mom, when you worked for Unisys, which was like for a nanosecond in Los Angeles, where did you live off of Wilshire? And I was like, oh, gosh, Ian, I don't know. I mean, it's like, number one, it's like 25 years ago. And number two, like I said, I think I worked there for like 3 months. And because, it just wasn't a good fit, so to speak.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, well, here, I'll just tell you, like one of the things that happened is that in my performance review at Unisys, my manager said in front of the HR person, that Kim says my name in an offensive manner.
Oh.
Because the guy wasn't very bright.
Okay.
And, so what would happen is like we'd be talking about a deal and I'd say, so how do you think we should close the deal, Dick?
Yeah. Every Richard just slapped his forehead.
I'm sorry. So anyway, as you can tell, my corporate career was ending and crashing and burning. So anyway, so Ian asked me, where'd you live off of Wilshire? And I said, well, I really don't remember. And then he said, oh no, you lived on Lyndhurst. And I'm like, oh gosh, you're so right. How do you know that? He goes, Mom, it's right here on the internet. Every address everywhere you lived, even your cell phone number,
crazy,
is
right?
available free. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm like. Ali, we need to tell people how to get out of these people search databases. And I thought, for example, Ali, we'd be having like no more than 10 different sites. So how many are we up to now?
We are at 31, and we have covered most of the big ones out there. There still are some to do, which we will get to, but you're right, Kim. It's not just your name, maybe your address, which is bad, right? You don't want that post online. But some of these sites have everywhere you've ever lived. Like you said, your cell phone, if you still have a landline, they have your relatives, other people that you're connected to. They're really creepy, and there's a ton of information there. So what can you do about it? You can opt out. They legally, to run sites like this, you have to be able to get yourself and your information off the site. But the trick is they make it really complicated.
Of course they do. And they have to make it complicated because if you are not in their database, right, then they have less records for them to make money off of. So it's in their best interest to make it so incredibly hard. But you, Ali, and your entire team, you go through that tedious process and then document it.
And boy, is it tedious. Yes. We have a superstar on our team who I have to give a shout out to, Al, who has done a lot of these himself. And he goes through the process, opts himself out. He finds all the little gotchas along the way. On some of these sites, it's really hard to tell where to click, or it seems like you should click one thing and you do, and then it says, oh, now you have to pay us. No, that is a big red flag. Never, ever pay to opt out of one of these sites. You don't have to. That's illegal. But he goes through the whole process. So we have these all on the site, right? And they've been a huge hit, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of page views for all these stories. But then we started getting more and more emails saying, Kim Commando, these steps are not working for me. What is going on here? Also, not just that guy. Tons of them. It was also nice people saying, Kim Commando, these steps aren't working for me. What do I do? Well, it's because, it's really interesting how these work. A lot of these sites, they kind of are networks where they all have the same databases and they all kind of work together. And so, maybe you're going to Intellius or People Finder or Zaba Search. Well, they all have the same background. And so the way you take yourself off of one is the same for several of these. Well, it turns out, we're not going to go down the conspiracy theory route, but we will say we sent a lot of people to these sites to remove themselves. And surprise, surprise, the process changed for a lot of them.
Oh, shocker.
Interesting. Like you said, they make money selling this stuff. And they make a lot of money selling it. So it's in their best interest to keep your information there. So yeah, they're going to make it difficult. They're going to change those steps. But good news, we went through every single one of these Opt Out Tuesday posts, all these people search sites, and we redid everything. This took like 48, 50 hours of cumulative time from our team to redo all of these to help you get your information off of there. Now, this is what I will ask. Go do it now. Go do it now before it changes again.
Good point, Allie. Yes, right? Yes.
Because, I'm willing to bet it will again in some way. So go over to the site. We actually made it really easy to see which ones have changed. If you've already gone through this process and said, oh my gosh, or maybe there are ones where you couldn't get the process right. It might have been because you were trying one that they had changed it. This weekend, we have a tip up on the site that you wrote, Kim, that includes links to all the ones that have changed. And we walk you through step by step. There are pictures, screenshots to show you where to click. Don't click the ads. As we know, again, they try to get you to pay for stuff and you don't have to. So there might be a button that says, click here to delete. Well, it might be an ad that leads you to another website that wants you to pay for something or make an account. So never pay, never make an account. We will show you how to do it all.
You know what, Ellie, with these 31 sites, I don't mean to add more work to your plate because gosh knows your head's spinning. I know it's spinning this week because mine's been spinning this week. Is that maybe we need to have like a list that somebody could actually print out, and then it has all the different sites that are listed, and then they can just check boxes.
Oh, love that! Yeah.
Here.
Yep, that's a great idea.
So that this way you can keep track of everything because with 31 different sites, like whoa, okay. How do I even remember what I did? And it is. Everything is all in this massive database. I saw a great movie about databases. I don't know if I told you this. It's a really, really good movie about databases and how they work. I can't wait for the sequel. I'm sorry, SQL. That is like a total geek joke.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a nerd
so
joke.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Every once in a while it just comes out. Yeah. Well, you know what, Allie? You're doing a great job. Team's doing a great job. Al's doing a great job. And this is such a good public service. And really, that's what it is. And so if anybody's listening, and if you haven't done Opt Out Tuesday, make sure that you head over to commando.com. Is there a special URL we can send them to, Allie?
That is a good question. On this weekend, it will be right there on the homepage, but I am going to see if we can do some magic and maybe commando.com/opt-out, and we can send you to the main landing page for them.
You know what? I know that super smart Jeremy and John, they can do that for us. So commando.com/opt-out. And just then Jeremy and John are going, oh, gosh, another one. Yes, gosh. Hey, great job as always, Allie. You're fantastic. And keep up the great work. All right. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the backyard pool, and all of a sudden I see a drone, and I didn't have my phone handy or I would take a picture of it. And I'll tell you why in a second. So I just shoot it off. I was like, get out of here, get out of here. And then the drone headed off into the north, and I was trying to figure out where it could have headed. But here's the deal: is that if you can take a picture of a drone, 9 times out of 10, not so much really, is that maybe it has a serial number on it. And so this way, some drone owners do this so that this way, if they lose the drone, somebody can go to the FAA database and type in the serial number, and then you can find out who actually owns it. Well, bottom line is a lot of people really just don't do that. So there are things that you should never do to a drone. You can't shoot at it. You can't interfere physically with it, and you can't try to tamper or disable it. So what can you do? Well, number one, you can shoo it off and see if it goes away, like I did. You could carry an umbrella. Nobody really wants to do that. You can use your surroundings as cover in the pool in a bikini. It was really hard for me to do that. Or you can wear an invisibility cloak. Ooh, what's that? Well, researchers at the University of Maryland found that patterned sweaters will actually thwart these AI systems and also these drone cameras. And it's expensive. The garments are about $250 for a hoodie. If you want more information about all of this and links to the FAA database, just head over to commando.com and search for drone surveillance. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls as well as a great tip on how to find and remove keyloggers on your devices here on the Kim Komando Show. Hey, be tech smart and join 400,000 people who get our tips. Head over to commando.com/getfreetips. Once again, that's commando.com/getfreetips. All right, Jill, you're up next here on the Kim Komando Show.
Hi, how are you, Kim?
I'm terrific. What's going on?
Well, it's a cold day here in Montana, I can tell you that.
Okay, well, it is winter.
Yes, it is winter. It is winter. Hey, so here's my question. I have a son that recently bought a camper, and him and his grandfather are remodeling. He is, his father, for the first time a couple months ago, came back into his life, and he wants to move this camper over to his half-brother's house, who he recently just met. His half-brother owns a diesel mechanic shop over in Libby, Montana, and he would like to park his camper at his brother's house. So what I am trying to do is get him Wi-Fi in there so he can watch TV and, listen to his radio on his own without connecting to somebody else's Wi-Fi. He may be pulling this camper to a campsite for a fire crew. So I would, I would like to get him set up, and I don't know anything about what to do or where to start.
Well, Jill, you have come to the right place.
I know.
I'm going to set you all up, okay?
Okay.
All right. So you got a couple of options. Number one is if there is decent cell phone coverage wherever the shop is and wherever he will be.
Right. Is
that you can enable what's called a hotspot on your iPhone or Android, and then you can use that as a Wi-Fi source for the camper. It costs anywhere between $30 and, say, $60 a month, and you want to look for a plan that offers unlimited data. Or you can actually select the amount of data, 5 gigs, 10 gigs, 20 gigs. You said a couple of things that makes me think like you'd be better off with an unlimited data plan, maybe from a company like T-Mobile. They offer one. They're a sponsor for our show, by the way. And it's about $50 a month with auto pay. Now, if you think he's going to be taking this camper off the grid, right? You said some fire.
Right.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if they're going to be in a remote area of Montana or wherever they are, and you're pretty confident that there's not going to even be a cell phone, maybe even a 1 bar, 2 bars. And in case you're wondering, is that depending on who his provider is, and most providers have this, is on the provider's website, they have what's called a coverage map. And so you can type in a zip code or two or look at different areas, and the providers will actually tell you if they actually are providing coverage in those particular areas. Okay.
Okay.
So if there is no if there is no cellular connection available whatsoever, your next option is to get satellite. Now, satellite, anytime I'd say that, people are like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Well, it's still expensive. It is, but not as expensive as it used to be.
Okay.
I actually have it at one of my homes. It's called Starlink, and you can learn more about at starlink.com.
Okay.
And this is an Elon Musk SpaceX company. Now, it is expensive for the gear. It's $600 for the gear.
Okay.
Takes you about 10 minutes to set it up. And then every month, it's about $110 a month for you to get this internet access. But I'll tell you, it is fast and it works.
Okay.
And as long as you have a view of the sky, You can be online, not just to watch movies, but to text and to share videos and FaceTime and Zoom calls and Skype or whatever you want to do. And so those are your two basic options if you don't want to use the internet that's available to your son at that shop. So again, we're going to talk about a mobile hotspot.
Right.
Which is offered by the cellular company, or satellite internet that comes from Elon Musk's company called Starlink. So does that help you out?
That does, Kim. That really does help us out. We use Straight Talk, and I do believe that I've seen that hotspot card in there.
Oh, perfect. All right.
But I think I really like the idea of that Starlink.
Well, I'll tell you, Starlink, I wish I could give you two other options, but that's the only one out there right now. And I have, as I mentioned, I have it at one of my houses, and it works really, really well. Okay, so when you install Starlink, it's super important to install the dish and modem in a location that has a clear line of sight right to the sky. So you want to avoid obstructions like trees and buildings and any structures that could actually block the signal. All right, it's a common question that I get. I have a keylogger on my device. How do I find it? Keylogging programs record all the keys you press when you're just typing away or whether you're on your computer or your phone, and they're used by IT departments to track and monitor employee activity. Parents use them to keep tabs on what the kids are doing on their computers and phones and tablets. And for cyber thieves and snoops, well, they're a tool to spy on you and steal your data. And they're super difficult to spot, but not impossible. So you want to check your computer or your device for unfamiliar programs. If you don't recognize the name of something, just do a quick Google search. Next, check your phone. If its battery life has taken a downturn, that's a telltale sign that it's infected. And look for surprises, unexplained charges on your bill, apps that you didn't install. To get rid of a keylogger, you can use a solid anti-malware program. Reset your device. We have all the steps and some programs that we recommend over at Komando.com. And be sure to tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and the Kim Komando Today podcast, because everyone just needs more tech smarts. You can find me at Komando.com.